Hey, how you doing? My name is Jason Korfhage. I'm currently a social studies teacher at Carruthers Middle School, and I've been asked to give advice on what I would tell an ELA teacher on how to integrate iPads into their classroom. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, well, what kind of apps can I use? And I'm going to not go that direction, and hopefully that this is an okay approach. I just feel like citing specific apps, it's going to be just problematic in the sense that I don't necessarily know what JCPS is going to allow. And if I tie myself directly to an app that is something that we are not going to allow students to access in the classroom, then I feel like that I have not necessarily done a good job. And I've seen that over my time in the 4 years that I've been using technology in my classroom via Chromebooks, that there are certain things that I've wanted to try or wanted to do that it was simply not allowed by JCPS. So I'm going to focus more on kind of a holistic approach, something that I feel like I could advise anybody on. And the first thing that I feel like we have to do is we have to understand what that teacher is comfortable with. Because each of us has a very different skill set and a very different comfort level with certain things. There are social studies teachers who stand up in front of the classroom and do a lot of notes, and that works for them, and they're comfortable taking stage. And then there's other teachers who just ask students to investigate and do different things and do inquiry. And so I just feel like we have to understand what each teacher is capable of. We have to kind of set a plan in place to grow over the course of the year, whether that's a 30-day plan, 60-day plan, 90-day plan, some kind of combination of all of those things to find growth early on, find things that we can do, share with each other, and see what's actually working. The main thing that I think for ELA, when I walk into an ELA class, they're reading, they're writing, they're constructing arguments, they're doing language mechanics, and all of those things have to happen. And you can't really stop those things from happening. You don't want to stop those things from happening. But I think that there are ways that technology will allow for much more engagement. And that's really what it is to me. It allows for, there's so many more opportunities. There's so many different ways that we can attack students' skills and the way that they learn. And to me, video is the number one option here. I don't want to stop kids from writing. I just think that, okay, now that you've written kind of a script for something, is there a way that you can then transition that to a video? I think students will have a lot of fun doing stuff like that. They can, after they've read a book, they can create a film trailer. Like, look, we're going to transition this to a movie. I want you to create the film trailer for that movie. Group project, script it out, write it, and then record it, create it. iMovie is fantastic for things like this, and there's so many little fun opportunities that they can use on that. I'm thinking of like a podcast, create maybe a video podcast or even just an audio podcast if they're not comfortable putting themselves on screen, where 2-3 kids get together and they kind of script out some questions, or maybe the teacher could draft those questions for them, and then they have to answer those questions in a discussion-based format with themselves. And then they can share that with the rest of the class. They can share that with the teacher. Everybody can kind of digest everything that they've done. I feel like there is a lot of opportunity with video and podcasting specifically that you just don't have currently, and that you can't, and that you're not bound by this 55-minute classroom time, that this is something these kids are going to be taking these iPads home. They're going to be able to discuss things. They're going to be able to FaceTime things with each other. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in the video and podcasting space that I think could completely transform a language arts class without taking away from the things that teachers are currently doing. Another idea that I've seen, Flipgrid. Instead of doing a reading log where you write down, oh, I read this for 15 minutes today, and have your parents sign off on it. Okay, I read this today, and then I'm going to get on and I'm going to do a Flipgrid where I respond to, and I tell you about what I read and what I think about it and what kind of connections I've made to it. I just think there's a lot of power in that. Google Expeditions is something that it's the goggles that you put on, and it creates a little virtual reality space where you can actually tour the world. And so a teacher could say, okay, well, this is being set in this place at this time, and we can go on a Google Expedition and we can find out what this looked like to really set the stage for the kids. There's a lot of power in things like this. There's vocab tools like Quizlet and things of this nature that I really feel like we can transform language arts using a lot of the tools in